everyone, and welcome to another edition of Make It with Miss Mandee. I'm so excited because today we're going to be putting together my biggest paper craft to date. We are going to be making this die-cut Victorian dollhouse. This is got a really cute interior and a really fun exterior with tons of little details all around, inside and out. It's really fun to make, and believe it or not, it's pretty much just made out of paper. So that being said, it does take a lot of paper to make this craft, like about 40 sheets of cardstock, give or take, depending on what sizes you're using. So besides a ton of paper, you'll also need a sheet of vellum, a cutting machine, definitely need a cutting machine for this one, hot glue, tacky glue, and a bone folder. Then of course you'll need my free template available on my website, designsbymissmandee.com. So there you go, let's get started. So all of my pieces are cut out, and if you have made it this far already, congratulations. I realize that that is a really big step and does take a lot of time to get these cut out. That being said, if you had any trouble or if you're still having trouble getting the file set up in Cricut Design Space, be sure to check out the video I did recently on setting up files that include score lines. Okay, so now let's get going and sorting out this mess. I'm gonna set most of my pieces aside for now, so bear with me. Okay. Let's see if I can keep everything kind of in order. All right, so I'm going to start by putting the base together. I always just like to put this piece together. I don't know why, I just think it's nice to get this part done and out of the way. It's pretty easy, so it'll give you like a good win right off the bat. All right, so this is straightforward. Like I was saying, it's just two main pieces for the base. The only thing to make sure of is that you're using them in the correct way, making sure that none of them are like flipped around. And basically what you're looking for is that this piece, if you can see, has some these are cut lines in like a hexagonal shape, and that's going to be the left side of your dollhouse. Make sure that that is on the left side and that that these cut lines are in the front. And then over here also just make sure that the cut lines, hopefully you can see those, are going frontwards. Okay, so I'm just going to glue these two pieces together, and then I'm going to glue these little embellishment pieces over the top and then fold it all up. All right, my base is assembled. Looks nice. One last thing you might consider doing before calling this done is just widening these little slats. This just makes it easier when we do finish the rest of the dollhouse. This just makes it easier to align everything and slip the tabs in at the end. Yeah. All right, now we're done with this and we're just going to set it aside. Okay, the next thing we're going to put together are the front and sides of the actual dollhouse. Okay, so I'm doing like an inverse color scheme for this dollhouse. So instead of white with pink embellishments, I'm doing a pink house with white embellishments just for fun and to mix things up. Okay, so we're just going to need to sort out all of our pieces. Okay, let's see. This is the roof piece. I don't need this piece right now. All right. These ones are easy to find. These are going to be like your kind of half hexagon sections. Don't have enough room for everything. This one's gonna go up here. This one's gonna go beneath it. These go to your side walls. I had to kind of cut everything up into pieces because I wanted everything to fit on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. So that's why everything's in all these little sections. Okay, so this is how everything's going to fit together. Just a couple things to note. These are almost exactly the same, but this piece on the left side does have a little piece of roof that's going to be attached to it. So just make sure that you have this one on the left-hand side. Yes, and then just make sure this is facing right. Make sure that you don't have it flipped this way. And make sure that the door is on the left. And I think that's everything. Now let's just glue these pieces together. Now that those are all glued together, we're going to work on our window embellishments, our window frames. Okay, so for these, you're going to need all of your little window pieces. And these also include, what do I call these? If this was a picture frame, this would be the mat. Anyway, these are some little liners that go behind the exterior window frame. And I apologize because I have these sorted out now, but you're gonna need to sort these out. I try not to make things so similar in size, but these are very, very close in size, and I do apologize for that. If you look closely, this one is a little bit thicker than these ones. And these are actually gonna be on the interior of your dollhouse, lining the windows. And if you tried to make these line up, it doesn't really show through, and it doesn't really add anything. So if you're gluing these to the window frames and nothing's really happening, you're probably using the wrong ones. Those ones are supposed to go on the interior of the house, so I'm going to set those aside. These ones are for the exterior of the house. You're going to glue these onto your window frames, and then you can glue your window frames to the dollhouse. I have finished piecing together my window frames and gluing them onto my windows. And now, and including my door too, I also added this cute little doorknob, just kind of painted it on there. Now I'm going to add my actual window pieces. These are what I used the vellum for when I cut it out. And this is pretty easy. I'm just going to flip these over, and then I'm going to glue them to the interior side. This is also where your window frames are eventually going to go to help cover up the edges of the window, but not yet. That's going to be after we add the wallpaper, which is still a few steps down the road. So anyway, just going to start doing that and adding my windows in. All right, now that all the pieces are in place, it's time to start folding and gluing. These fit together just like so. You can see where the tabs overlap and where you're going to be making your folds. Before I start gluing everything together though, I'm going to start with this section and fold all of these scores first. So I just folded these tabs in, and I'm going to glue these to the inside of these flaps right here, and this will help give this half hexagonal shape of your house the form that it needs. Well, it's kind of hard to tell because this doesn't fit in the frame very well anymore, but the house is really starting to come together, and the next thing we're going to work on is the front porch. So this has two pieces. It's just these that look almost like a mirror to each other, and they're going to overlap right here, and I'm just going to glue this piece together, and then we're going to fold along all of the score marks, and this is going to make the floor of the balcony, and then fold along these edges, and these are going to wrap around just the sides of the house. Don't get it confused with these pieces. These are going to be the balcony pieces, and we'll work on these in just a little bit. All right, now that our porch is put together and attached, we are going to start working on our roof. And specifically, we're going to start with the 3 peaks. So this dollhouse has 3 different places where the roof comes together in a peak. And this is the section for the top right one. These are the pieces that will make up the center peak, and then also it'll make up the balcony. You can see the railing there. And then these are for the largest peak, which is the one on the left-hand side, on top of the hexagonal area of our dollhouse. Okay, so let's start with the small one first, since it's the easiest. And I'll kind of explain what you're going to do. So this tab right here is going to be what connects your roof together. And I'll show you what it's going to look like. All right, so when this comes together, the roof itself is going to look like this. And so this is the front, and then these are the sides that are going to attach to the roof piece. Okay, but before we put that all together, we're going to start putting our shingles on. And this is a little bit of a tedious process, but I actually think it's pretty fun. So I have a whole bunch of shingles pieces right here, and they're not measured out to any specific length, and that's so that you can lay them out in whatever order you need to. But the main thing to note is that there are 2 different kinds of shingles, and the pattern is just opposite each other, so that when you lay them over top of each other, lining them up pretty much with the bottom edge of the shingles to where this comes up in the middle. Just like that, you can see that the pattern will alternate automatically when you layer them correctly. Okay, and then the other thing to think about and remember as you're layering your shingles is to make sure that you start from the bottom and work your way up. That'll ensure that your shingles will lay correctly and that your pattern will be correct all the way up. So I'm going to start layering these on one at a time and trimming them as I go, and just work my way up on each side. All right, so you can see what this looks like now that I've done one side. Now I'm just gonna go along and do the other side, doing the same thing, layering each shingle strip one at a time till I get to the top. And then I'm going to glue this together and finish this roof peak. All right, so this roof peak is complete with the exception of this little embellishment piece right here. This is pretty easy. It just slips in right here, and I'm just going to glue it down. All right, now that that's done, I'm just going to set it aside and we'll work our way to the middle section. Okay, this is similar to the first one in that these are going to fold pretty much the same way. The main difference here is that these are going to overlap similarly to the porch pieces, in that there's like a whole section that they're going to overlap with, and we're going to glue these together. Now that that's attached properly, I can begin shingling my roof. With my center and my right roof peaks complete, it's time to start working on my largest one, my left one. This comprises two pieces of, in this case, white paper that need to be glued together. So I'm going to start by doing that. All right, this is what it'll look like when it's glued together. And then I'm going to layer my shingles on the right and left-hand side, just like before. Now that my regular roof shingles are on, I'm going to add my scallop shingles. And these ones, as you can see, are shaped the way they need to be. And you're just gonna place them on the front in the same way that you did these, in that you start from the bottom and work your way up. With those in place, it's time to add my embellishment elements. I'm going to add this one first and then this one on top. With those attached, now I'm going to fold along my score marks and create my roof shape. With all three of my roof peaks done, it's time to work on my main section of roof. Now, when I did this the first time, I actually glued the roof piece on to the whole dollhouse first, along with all three of my roof peaks, and then shingled it. I did this so that I could hide the tabs. So I glued it on, as you can see, like this in this case, like this, and then shingled over the top so that I could hide these tabs. That was nice, but it was super tedious, and I think I'm gonna do it a different way this time. My plan this time around is to shingle this all beforehand, and then later on, I'm gonna insert the tabs underneath the roof piece and the shingling work. And then on the inside, I just cut out a second roof piece, and I'm just going to layer it on top. Or in this case, it will be the inside of the dollhouse. Anyway, that's how I'm going to do it this time around. I think it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot less hectic for me and take less time. So here we go. Let's start shingling our roof. All right, here we are. Hello, by the way, now that I'm kind of in frame. We've got our roof all shingled and looking pretty. This is a really fun part for me. I don't know if it is for you, but it was really fun for me to put together. And now we're going to add the roof peaks, the balcony piece, and just kind of put everything together. So we're gonna start with this center piece right here. I'll turn this way. What we're gonna do is, if you see on this balcony railing, there are some tabs on the bottom. And there are also some holes right here that correspond. We're going to insert these into the balcony portion, glue them down, and then glue the railings to the side. This is all a little bit tricky, so just be patient and do everything one at a time. And then we're gonna glue on these tabs, and after that, then we can start attaching the roof. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with this piece. All right, so my balcony portion is attached, as well as my center roof. Well, it still has a little bit of attaching to go. And now I'm just going to add this main roof piece here. This is going to attach by, there's a little tab right here, and then there's one right here, and then this side portion right here. And then I'm also going to glue it onto the tabs on the back portion of this roof piece. And that is how I'm going to attach this. All right, and with that, we are pretty much done with the exterior, so let's just set this aside and then we'll get working on the interior. Alright, so let's get going on the interior. I've kind of laid out where each room is going to go, just so I can have a kind of visual in my mind when I start piecing these together. So these are the two bottom floor rooms, second story, and then I have the little upstairs attic area up here. I've also included in this design some carpets if you want. You don't have to use these if you don't want to. I decided to make them gray this time. And then these are the floor and wall pieces. So basically now we're just going to start wallpapering our rooms, and there's probably a few different ways you could build out your interior, so you can do whatever feels most comfortable to you. I'll just show you how I built it, and that is that I built everything, put everything together first, and then glued it to the inside of my dollhouse. So let's get going. I should mention that two of these carpets are meant to go on the base piece later, so I'm just going to set these aside. And that one of these like hexagonal type carpets has a couple of small holes in it, and that is for the ladder, which you're welcome to put in right now, but I wouldn't suggest connecting the ladder to the attic piece quite yet, and you'll see why. Okay, now that my floor and wall sections are complete, I am just going to insert the tabs and glue them in and start assembling my interior space. All right, this next step is not my favorite. It's kind of stressful for me. I wish there was a better way to do this, but this is the best way I've figured out so far. So I have an extra set of hands right now. You wave. My husband's gonna help me steady, just kind of keep the dollhouse steady as I put my floors into the house. So I'm just gonna kind of go for it. I'm gonna start with the back walls, since those are going to be the hardest for the glue gun to get to. I'm going to start by gluing those first and then work my way around the sides. And we'll, fingers crossed, pray for the best. Here we go. Okay, phew, that, that's the worst part, but it's over now, thankfully, and now I can just go about putting in my wallpaper, which is fun. And for this part, I'm just going to use tacky glue because I want to be able to maneuver the wallpaper and get it exactly right. So it's okay that we made the walls a little bit messy in here because we haven't put the wallpaper on yet. We're gonna get the wallpaper on, get them looking really pretty, and then the next thing I'm going to do is add the little window frames. Once again, these are kind of hard to do, but it'll look really nice when it's done. You're just gonna put these over the areas where the windows are, and then we'll be really close to done with our interior. All right, the wallpapers are in, the window frames are in, the carpets are in, and everything is really coming together. We are getting really close to being finished, and I feel really silly because the first time I made this, I put in the wallpapers and I used the tacky glue, and then just like I said, but then I attached the window frames as I went along after I put the wallpapers in. I realized this time, after I was done explaining it previously, that it would be much easier just to attach the window frames to the wallpapers before putting the wallpapers in. that's what I ended up doing this time around, and it was much easier. So sorry for leading you astray previously. If you haven't finished that part yet, put the frames on the wallpapers before you put it in. Much easier. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these little roof pieces, and this is super simple. I'm just going to fold in my tabs, and then I left a little bit of a gap on between the two pieces of roof right here so that I could slip these in. And so I am just going to start gluing these all the way across, and then there's a little tiny piece over here that goes on this side as well. Okay, and with that, we are almost done. Sorry, it seems like there's always one more thing, but there is a couple more things we need to do. So we really are on the home stretch now. All right, so we're gonna go back to our base portion and do just a couple more things. First thing is I'm going to make these stairs. These are pretty simple. All you have to do is start by folding along all the score lines. Then you just need to glue the tabs to their proper places. The front steps are complete. And now, like I mentioned previously, we're going to add a couple of carpet pieces to our base. So this piece is completely finished now, and the other thing that I'm going to do, after I made this the first time and I put the house on top, I realized that even though I'm using pretty thick cardstock for the base, that it kind of sagged a little bit in the middle, and so I decided to make a second base that's going to fit underneath the first one, and this is just going to provide extra support underneath the main structure. So you're not going to see it, it's just going to fit right underneath, and like I said, it's just going to give the whole thing more support. So now we have our main house structure and we have our base piece, and I haven't put this base in quite yet because I want to glue these tabs in first. Anyway, so that's our next step, is we just need to line up all of these little tabs at the bottom of the house with the corresponding slits in the base. I say just, but it is a little tricky. Just work your way around one at a time, and eventually, as long as you did everything correct, they should start to slip in there. And then once you have them all in, you can glue them down. Well, here it is. The dollhouse is complete. Be very proud of yourself if you were able to finish this one. It's a tough one and there are a lot of pieces, but you did it. Congratulations. Also, if you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, be sure to go over to designsbymissmandee.com and make sure that you're getting my emails, because I am going to be making some furniture and other cute little things that you can put inside this dollhouse pretty soon, and I'd love to make sure that you get notified about it. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Designs by Miss Mandee and catch most of my updates there. Thanks so much for watching and for following along and doing this awesome paper craft with me, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon.